Daredevil. Oh my God.
Dude.
It is
Let's talk about it.
finally here.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go ahead. I'm gonna give a synopsis of the first two episodes, and then let's break it down right after that. I'm so
All right.
excited. Oh, so today we're talking about the first two episodes of Daredevil Born Again, the highly anticipated return of Matt Murdock to our screens. And let me tell you, this season does not hold back. We've got shocking moments, brutal fights, and a whole new political game in Hell's Kitchen. So let's get into it. Episode 1 is titled Heaven's Half Hour. Opening at Josie's bar, we start off at Josie's with a familiar spot with all the Daredevil fans. Matt, Foggy, and Karen, they're there celebrating, having a few drinks. Their associate Cherry is there retiring, and it's supposed to be a night of good vibes. But this is Daredevil. We all know happiness does not last long in Hell's Kitchen. Oh my God. Right off the
It's
bat.
just
Yeah.
so
Foggy's
the
death.
emotions, the
Yes.
sadness. Oh
Yes.
my God. So the scene, like, where you're just like, you can hear Karen just like talking to Foggy, like, dude, just hang in there. The ambulance is on the way. And you're just like on the edge of your seat, like, oh God, he's
Yeah.
gonna make it. He's gonna make it.
Yeah.
Nope.
So Benjamin Poindexter, better known as Bullseye, shows up and absolutely shatters the moment, as you were saying. He goes on a rampage, opening fire, and in the chaos, Foggy gets shot within the first 5 minutes. And this isn't a he'll walk it off kind of wound. Foggy Nelson is dead. Matt, completely breaking down in grief and rage, does something we've never seen him do before. He snaps. He doesn't just fight Bullseye, he throws him off the roof. Now, Bullseye
Bro.
survives, but this moment
Yes.
changes Matt forever. His code is
Hmm.
broken, and in the aftermath, he abandons being Daredevil. Then we get to 1 year later. Flash forward a year, and things are different. Matt is now working as a lawyer again, this time alongside former district attorney Kirsten McDuffie. Karen has left New York altogether. She's in San Francisco trying to move on. And as for Bullseye, he's locked up for life. Wilson Fisk becomes
So we
mayor.
think.
Yeah.
So we think.
Meanwhile, Wilson Fisk, our favorite criminal mastermind, has pulled off something huge. With the full support of his wife, Vanessa, Fisk runs for mayor and wins. Yeah, you heard that right. Wilson Fisk is now the mayor of New York City. And when Matt confronts him, he delivers a warning. Stay out of the shadows, Fisk, because if I have to come back, it won't be as a lawyer. But Fisk, as Fisk is, he just smiles because now he doesn't have to hide in the shadows. He owns the system. So before we go into the synopsis of episode 2, let's kind of throw in some thoughts and stuff that we and surprises, I guess, of episode
Yeah.
1.
So I mean, like,
Uh
right after he threw Bullseye off like the side of the building, he takes off his mask.
yeah.
And Sherry, actually, whose retirement it was, like, he came up and he was like, dude, what the fuck? It's Matt.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. But he's blind.
yeah, right. So I thought that was like really cool and interesting, and
Hmm.
just hearing like seeing the fight happen, and then seeing Daredevil just like pausing to like listen for Karen talking to
Uh
Foggy's heartbeat, and that
as
like
they're
just it's just
going to
so
that fight.
touching.
Oh yeah, as he's
Hmm.
going up that stairway, they get that halfway mark, and you hear, and then also I love the way, and this is the first time we've seen it like this, the way they filmed Matt overhearing Foggy's phone conversation in the bar to where like his heightened senses of hearing.
Hmm.
That's the first time it's been filmed that way. And I was watching some interview with Brandon Davis actually with the two creators of this, and they were
Hmm.
explaining how they do it. I'm not even going to try to act like I know know what I'm talking about when it comes to that, but
Yeah.
super creative, and I really love that better than we've seen it in any other way.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like New Rockstars talked about it during their breakdown
mm-hmm,
of Daredevil episodes 1 and 2, and in it
mm-hmm.
they kind of tied it also to the spider senses that Tom Holland
Right,
had,
where it kind
and
of
I thought
zooms
that was,
in and zooms
yeah, it
out.
zooms in and like the whole like background just kind of like it's
Yeah. What was
it's like a
cool,
blurry like background, so.
they were talking about like they ended up having like a certain camera, and I can't remember the name of it, but then there was like two other cameras there, on one on each side of it, and that's how it kind of gives that more surround look, and it
Hmm.
actually stitches the film together between the three cameras. And I was like, man, it's technology. It's insane.
But
uh
I love it. I loved all of it.
yeah,
And then seeing him, touching that like the braille, like little um the service card for Foggy,
yeah,
before he went to go and testify against Bullseye a year later. Um, I was just like, oh man, like
oh
I
yeah,
thought it was gonna be like when I saw the 1 year later and him still having that braille thing, I was like, why does he still have like the funeral like service card? And I think it was just like to remember like why he's no longer Daredevil. He kind of like made this promise.
yeah.
Um,
And we know Foggy was always worried about him, not
yeah.
dying or something going wrong.
And right before or right after he had that phone call, like, Matt came up to him and was like, "Dude, what the fuck? Like, why didn't you tell me that your guy is like in
Right.
the stash house?" He's like, "I just didn't want to give you an excuse."
Yeah.
Is like his exact words, and you're like, "Ooh,
Yeah, and a lot of people
okay."
a lot of people you're seeing too. They're saying they're like, "Oh, it's kind of weird that Matt's doing so well a year later, and you would think he would take Foggy's death way hard." I think he did, and I think the reason of his lifestyle is in memory of Foggy. He's doing this for Foggy, and so I think there's a lot more depth there than what people are seeing, on this. But that's
Hmm.
just my take on that. And then, kind of get back to the bullseye scene. I really love. And a lot of people, criticize and hate the original Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. As a kid, and not having a lot of stuff, superhero movies like we do now.
Hmm.
It was that movie great? No. Will it hold a sentimental place in my heart? Yes. And I love how they did Bullseye with the paperclip and he kills that fly
Hmm.
because that is a
Yeah.
callback to Colin Farrell's Bullseye when
Yeah, the
he
homage. Yeah.
yes, yes, where he's playing darts in that bar and he takes the paper clips and folds them off and yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, and I would say like I did not expect an homage to the original Daredevil movie because hell, we've had all this Charlie Cox Daredevil up till now, and we ain't really. I don't think we've really seen anything of that. I will say one of my favorite jokes that I have seen on the internet, and I can't remember who this was, but they're like, "Oh my god, Daredevil Born Again! This is the most amazing She-Hulk spinoff I've ever seen in my life."
Damn.
I'm like, that's good. That is good. But also a little fun fact. And everybody's like, oh my god, they killed Foggy. And so a lot of people are like, is Foggy dead? And it looks like he died. I mean, we even heard him listen to his heartbeat to where his heartbeat stopped. I think he's dead. But you have your speculations, you have your, comic fans out there. And so when it shows them coming out of their, their law firm, the address is 468 above the door. And a lot of people think that that's the number 468 comic in Daredevil, which is where Foggy fakes his death.
Oh.
Yeah, and they put that there, but was it for that reason or was it just a mess with everybody? Because they know about all of us YouTubers and all these fans breaking stuff down and looking for these clues. So, like, I'm
Mm.
super curious. Like, is that just a mess with people, or are we not done seeing Foggy? And here's another thing too: is there was an interview with one of the directors and or creators, and he's like, "We will see Karen and Foggy." This is before the show debuted, and
Yeah.
he's like, we will see Karen and Foggy in season 1 and 2. So by him saying that, I don't think he would just loosely say that. Or is it just Foggy in flashbacks? Is it maybe Matt struggling and hearing Foggy talk, in his mind, through different stuff?
Hmm.
Or is it because Foggy's really not dead? I mean, we've seen people fake their death in the MCU. Nick Fury,
Yeah.
he had that toxin. He looked like he was pretty dead. I mean, when we seen him and he got, through with that. And the Bruce Banner's talked about a toxin he created to slow down his heart rate. Uh, so I don't know. There's so many things, and as we all know, in Marvel, nobody's ever truly stays dead except for Uncle Ben. So
Damn, that was dark. Damn. Oh God. Oh, but
it's
okay,
true
so
though. It's true. Uh, yeah. You have any more about episode 1?
I mean, like, so if we don't think that he's actually dead, like, okay, I can see it because we always say, like, don't believe it until you see the
Right.
body. The same thing with, like, Scarlet Witch at this point, right? We saw, like,
Hmm.
the rocks tumble and we're like, oh, she's, like, dead or whatever, but you don't know for sure.
Right.
We didn't see him get carted off underneath that white blanket.
No, but I mean, like, I think that still would have happened, even if it was faked. Because here's
Mm.
another thing, too. People's like, oh, if he was still alive, Matt would have heard his heartbeat, But so, like, that talks to Nick Fury that slows down his heartbeat. That's 1 beat per hour, if I'm not mistaken, is what that gives you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and then Matt, I think, was so distraught that
Mhm.
literally he probably wouldn't have even noticed it, even a small beat, because, like, I
Yeah.
mean, he took his mask off and didn't even pay attention to Cherry coming up to the rooftop. So I think he
Right.
was so beside himself, it kind of distracted him from what he normally would have heard or
Mhm.
picked up on anyways. So there's still that possibility. There's still the possibility.
Yeah.
I don't want Foggy to be dead. I really don't. And not just along with that 468 comic where he faked his death. Uh, Foggy has faked his death, I think, 3 times total in the comics. So
Okay.
yeah, he's got a history of this.
Yeah, that would be interesting, and I would love to see how they would bring that in and how they would react. I am more on the lines of I hope, not that I hope. I I want, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how like to correctly say this because it's like a weird way to say
Yeah.
it, but I I hope that the death is actually the death because like think of the repercussions, think of the side
Right.
order effects of if he does come back and he wasn't actually dead, like how would that like how would
Oh
Matt
yeah.
deal with that? And then like Karen, like she was just like this affected me too, and she was like going through it and everything. Like they had like Karen and Matt kind of had this like romance that they had going on
Yeah.
that we kind of got to see in Josie's, and then all of a sudden now
Well,
they
yeah, the
don't.
bromance, well,
So
they sleep together and just as friends.
so like how would that like affect everything else? And like I don't know, man. Like I would
Yeah.
just kind of hope that like what it is, and maybe there's a
Yeah.
different universe like Foggy that's gonna come into their lives or something. I don't know.
No, I
I don't know.
wholeheartedly agree with you. As much as I didn't want Foggy to die, seeing this happen, I, I think it would mean more and would be better if he stays dead. Uh,
Hmm.
Not because I don't like him and it's like that. Because oh my god, who doesn't like Foggy?
Right.
But like kind of like Matt and Vincent were saying in an interview. He's like, this was such a hard decision. He's like, even off screen. He's like, because
Hmm.
we've all built such a personal connection. He's like, but one thing that we had to do with bringing Daredevil back, is there had to be some bold decisions to carry on the story arc that needed to be told, and this is what made sense to make the story arc make sense. And so,
Yeah.
like, I think it would, and plus, like, after being gone for a year, like you're saying, like, how would you even how would you even make that okay? Like, no matter what the reason was, it wouldn't be okay, especially how close they were and what they went through, and to keep that hidden for a year. Like, I
Yeah. I
think I
mean,
think
think
this needs
of
to be a pivot point in Matt's life that needs to stay true.
yeah, and you also have to think of like the blip. Like everybody,
Hmm.
like some people, like dusted away and then came back, and like think of how like that happened for everybody, like
Right.
and how that completely changed their lives. Like so, I don't know, man. Because this is like he died right in front of them. Like Karen was like hands on chest, like trying to save him with the blood gushing out, and the girl always seems to find a way to cover herself in blood. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, she does actually.
Like I was just thinking of like the first episode or first season back in Daredevil when we got kind of like introduced to Karen and she
Yeah. When that
got
guy
like blood
breaks into her
spray.
apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just kind of hope that um he does stay gone, but if he doesn't, I want to have like a good reason as to why this happened. If it's like an Avengers type thing, if it's a I don't know
Yeah.
why they would do that. So I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to break into the synopsis of episode 2. So episode 2 is
Okay.
called Optics. We have Hector Ayala's arrest. Now, episode 2 shifts gears. It brings in a new character, Hector Ayala, the White Tiger. Some of you might recognize that name, especially if you're a comic book fan. But here, Hector gets arrested after a brutal subway incident. He was trying to protect a kid named Nicky Torres from getting assaulted, but in the struggle, he accidentally kills one of the attackers. Now, the guy tripped. It wasn't his fault. But turns out these guys are dirty cops. So now Hector is behind bars, and Matt steps in as his lawyer to fight for his innocence. All right, so now we get to where Fisk faces resistance as mayor. Over at City Hall, Fisk might be the mayor, but things doesn't that does not mean that things are easy for him. He's dealing with pushback from the NYPD Commissioner Gallo, who's threatening to resign because the department is in shambles. He's definitely not got everybody sold on this. But Fisk being Fisk, he doesn't negotiate. He threatens. He lets Gallo know if he walks away, his family won't be safe. So yeah, Fisk is still very much the kingpin that we know, just with a fancier office now.
His secret family on top of that.
Right, right. So we get Matt's return as Daredevil, and finally the big moment. Matt can't sit on the sidelines anymore. When corrupt officers come after Nikki Torres, Matt steps in, and this time he fights. It's a brutal street level brawl that reminds us why Daredevil is one of the best hand to hand fighters in Marvel. Oh my God, the scene goes hard. And just like that, the devil of Hell's Kitchen is back.
Hmm.
Ah, my God. So, what do we take away from this episode? I mean, I've said to in like both these episodes, really, right off the bat, this show is darker and more intense than ever. We were worried about this staying just as dark and gritty as a Netflix. It's went above that, and I love it. I think it was bold. Them killing Foggy off. I mean, it goes to show that no one's really safe in this.
Hmm.
Also Fisk running as New York mayor. I mean, it's like major things. Boom, 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 right off the bat, and then we see
Yeah.
Matt wrestling with demons harder than ever. I mean,
Hmm.
so it's safe to say I think that we're in for one hell of a season, and yeah, they're bringing it. They are bringing
Yeah.
it.
Oh, absolutely. And I really liked how they show Vanessa as the leader of like the gang that Kingpin was a part of, but now is the
Mhm.
mayor, and he's like, I can't be attached to that anymore. And she's like, well, I took over for it once like when he got shot and
Yes.
had to go through his recovery and everything. So I really like to the fact that we're seeing like that darker side of Vanessa, and the fact that she is no longer this pure wearing white art
Not
dealer
at
that we
all.
got to see at first, because she was totally blind to like what was happening, and now she is completely corrupt, and it kind of shows you like what happens when Wilson Fisk gets involved with people. They don't come out,
Yeah. Well, I mean, now mind you, is
clean.
in season 3, she did say, he's like, "Oh, I just, I never wanted you to be involved in any of this." And she told Fisk though, she's like, "My hands never have been clean." And so, like that right there, kind of let you know what she was capable of. And boom, they
Hmm.
start right off into of this season, showing you exactly what she was capable of.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Do
there's so
you
many.
do you think it was Vanessa then that like told Bullseye to
I
go
don't know.
after
It makes you
Nat,
wonder.
Foggy and Karen? Because like you got to hear Wilson Fisk actually say to Daredevil like,
Yeah,
I kept up my promise. Like that
right.
was not me. So then who was it? Because like someone had to have sent Bullseye after,
Mm-hmm.
Foggy and Karen, and got to like someone who knew enough information that had those connections to know that Foggy had that guy living in the safe house that was his apartment,
Right.
right? So somebody who had all that information enough to get Matt away from, Karen and Foggy, and then just start like brutally murdering everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, like I wonder if it was Vanessa that did that, because she is that corrupt person now, and maybe she wants Wilson back as like the corrupt guy that she knows, who we kind of know that he's still
I don't
corrupt, as
know.
we saw with
We we got
him.
we got Adam in here too. Don't forget about Adam.
Adam who?
Yeah.
um,
I was shocked when he's like, I know about you and Adam, and I'm like, oh
and she's like,
damn.
"Don't kill him," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
He promised not to kill him. I'm like, it doesn't mean he's not going to torture the shit out of him. And then
yeah,
I'm over here like, or will he? Because who is this Adam? Has she been boinking with Adam Warlock? I mean, that's like one of the jokes going around the internet. I'm like, that's hilarious.
yeah."
Kingpin goes find out it's this golden guy that's got all these powers. Like, there's nothing he could do to Adam Warlock.
It's unfortunate. But yeah, so I wonder about that, and then like I want to see like what they do with this white tiger, and especially because we
Mm,
know that the character himself has passed away back in December,
mm,
due to cancer. So I just like I wonder what they're going to do with
with
his
his
character,
yeah,
if they're going to have his sister, who we got to see kind of maybe a picture of in his room when Cherry was doing the snooping around
yeah.
and found the white tiger costume. Like,
Well,
is she going to
also,
take up that mantle? Because there's a comic book like
yeah.
series off of that.
Well, I think in the comics, if I'm not mistaken, it's his niece. And
Niece? Okay.
and the funny thing we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago or 2 shows ago, maybe three, that obviously it's pure rumor, but Jenna Ortega is being spotted, and immediately fans are like, "Oh, she would be great to take on the mantle of White Tiger," because that character seems to be dark and broody, and let's be honest, that's kind of Jenna Ortega's thing. And like it would, I think that would make sense and work. I it so like I wonder what your thoughts are on this. So the White Tiger, here's my two thoughts, and I want to see what yours is. So we
Mm.
know like his character has to unfortunately pass away because he did in real life. Um, I either think somehow someone's going to get to him before he can get out of prison, and it's going to be he's going to be killed in prison, or he will get freed and will be done right. But then because he gets out, Kingpin will have someone kill him. What's your
I'm
thoughts?
hoping that they don't actually kill him.
Hmm.
I'm hoping more along the lines of like, because his wife doesn't really agree with him being the White
Right.
Tiger, and we get to see
Sure.
that throughout this episode. So I'm hoping that he gets out and that he's just like, I'm done holding up this mantle of this vigilante because Daredevil's back.
Okay.
um Possibly, right?
Okay.
So like maybe that's him saying like, okay, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna start my entire new life and I'm gonna move away and I'm gonna
I like
I'm
this.
done with this.
I never thought about
Right.
that.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe.
It
I'm
that's
hoping.
a
I'm
nicer thought. I mean, it's a nicer thought. Hey, this guy got freed, gave up the mantle, and they went to go live a peaceful life.
Yeah.
I like that. It's definitely
I
way
don't
way
know.
more happier. I just know how dark Daredevil is, so I just didn't know.
Right. So we got to see Matt, do his whole fighting scene of like him saying to the corrupt cops who were coming after the guy that White
Mm,
Tiger did actually end up saving. They were like, he got to get him away and told him that like Cherry was waiting for him wherever.
mhm.
And he told these corrupt cops like, "Hey man, like I am blind. Like do not like I'm just his lawyer. Like don't fuck with me." Um but because he had too much information or whatever, they started fucking with him. And he's just like, "Dude, like I just told them I'm blind, but you know what? All right." And now they pulled out a gun and he's like, "Well,
Yep.
I can't.
You don't want to do this.
Self-defense. It's self-defense now, right?" So we didn't actually get to see Daredevil like go after those people. That was Matt Murdock going after those people,
Yeah.
like
And
full up.
I want to know, are they dead?
That's
Are
everybody's question.
Are they dead? I'm gonna tell you, like the way that, that freezer took those blunt forces of that guy's head. I
Mm,
mean, that looked pretty legit. And then oh boy's arm, that bone. Oh my god.
yeah.
Uh, and then he
So
just kind
I
of
mean,
lost it, screaming out.
even if they did live, like they couldn't go to like the cops and be like, "Yo, it's
A
this
blind
blind
man
man."
did
Like,
this.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
"Yo, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?" Like, nah.
yeah. Oh, let's talk about this. How
Yeah.
about the Punisher tattoo? So
Yeah.
I think that there's a secret unofficial task force of cops that are dirty, that feel
Mm,
like they're taking on the mantle of doing the Punisher's work, but doing it in the wrong sense. And
yeah.
I think there's like a little brotherhood of, oh, we're Punishers, and it's actually a band of dirty cops.
Yeah.
What's your theory on this? What do you think's behind the Punisher tattoo?
I think that it was just like a tattoo of a skull and they weren't really trying to resemble
I don't know. So remember we got
Punisher? I don't
leaked
know.
scenes like a year ago when on some filming, and it showed some cops with bulletproof vests on with spray painted Punisher skulls on it as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like we have to I don't want to say anything because I don't
Yeah.
know. And I want to see the Punisher and see how they interact and how all of that happens because we
Mm,
do see like in the trailers that we've gotten, we did see Daredevil and the Punisher kind of fighting and he was like, "Dude, it's me. Like fucking
yeah.
relax. It's Frank." Um
Well, I think too
And
they were having a hard conversation and a disagreement. Part of the scenes they showed
and
as well.
and then so now you have to wonder like what are they having a disagreement about? What's the issue? Like is it
Mhm.
that he actually is raising these like bad cops? Like is that something that the Punisher really would do? Like I don't know.
Nah, nah, my boy John wouldn't do that.
And that's why I'm saying like I don't think that it's
I think
that.
I
I
think
think
I
they
think maybe sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I just think that maybe they are trying to be their own vigilantes in some type of
Mhm.
way, but they're also still underneath like Kingpin's kind of like Vanessa's rule kind of
Mhm.
thing. So I
Here,
don't know, man.
here's what I think. I think why we're going to get the Punisher back, and obviously, I really want a lot more Frank because I love Frank and Matt's team up, or Frank and yeah. But I think the Punisher may come in because of these skull tattoos.
Hmm.
And I think, like, obviously Matt can't see it or whatever, but I think something's going to be said to him about it, and he's going to, I think the Punisher's going to come in and try to clean house because he feels like, because of him, maybe these guys are doing this, so he's going to help clean house and get rid of these shithead vigilante wannabes. Uh,
Okay.
I think he may end up being in just 1 or 2 episodes, and that's it, though.
Okay.
Uh, that's just I don't know. That's my take. I could be completely wrong,
I
but
mean, Matt
you
doesn't
know
have
how
to
he.
see a tattoo to in order to know it's there because tattoos are raised.
Well, that's
Like
true.
some of them are
That's
raised,
actually
like
that's
with
very
line
true.
work, so
Yeah.
he could feel it.
Right. But just knowing how John Berthel's Punisher is and how he really carries the burden of things that's his fault, I think he may feel like the burden of, oh, I need to get rid of these guys,
Hmm.
because they're carrying my mark on them as a tattoo. And so I
Yeah.
think that's maybe why he comes into this season, is just to help clean up these group of dirty cops that are claiming to be doing his work when they're not.
Oh, you know something we didn't talk about is when Wilson Fisk was doing his like not presidential, but like mayor address or
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
and he talked
yes,
about fucking Spider-Man.
yes, yes. He's like a man with horns or a man with a skull or whatever.
And no, he
Painted.
talked about the man with the skull and then the man with the webs. So
Yeah,
he
yeah,
talked about
but
Punisher and
yeah,
he did he
he
didn't I don't
mentioned
think he talked
he mentioned
he did?
Daredevil,
Okay.
Punisher, and Spider-Man all in the same deal.
Okay.
He's like, we don't need somebody dressed up with the man with horns, and then he's like said the deal with I think someone with a skull painted on them, and then he said, or someone dressed in a spider as a spider or something like that, because
Yeah.
legally they can't mention in live action Spider-Man's name, so they're like, or a man dressed as a spider, I think is what he said. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was so cool to see hear Wilson Fisk first time mention Spider-Man, because Wilson Fisk is also one of Spider-Man's main bad guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was so great to hear that come out of his mouth and just
And to
realize that
know
he's
that we
aware of them.
have yeah, and we have the MCU like kind of coming
Yes.
together ever so
Yes.
slightly. And we know we want it. We want it so bad. So, like to slowly get the pieces coming together,
Hmm.
I think it's just I can't wait. I can't
Me
wait to
too.
see what
Me
they
too.
do with it. Like, at what point
So,
in time do we finally get to have Spider-Man like
yes.
actually in a Daredevil or something?
Right. So, anybody watching this, please tell us in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts on the first 2 episodes. Are you
Yes.
liking this path that Matt's going down? What do you think about Fisk being mayor and kind of how that's playing out? White Tiger, tell us everything. Your thoughts, your opinions. If you don't agree with something we said, tell us why. Oh my God. I'm so ready for Tuesday night.
Yeah.